and I put on the television in my living room and turned on a show called College Game Day. College Game Day is good for football. I was watching this one with college basketball. So they do this show on location at various universities around the country. They set up kind of like a commentators table right on the floor. They talk about college basketball for that week. They do all different kinds of stories, usually very basketball related. But in this particular Saturday, they did a story. They were at the University of Michigan, and they kind of shared a story that just really was absolutely amazing to me. I don't really know how to describe it. There's a young man named Austin Hatch who plays, he's a freshman basketball player for the University of Michigan. I don't know how to describe his story to you. I don't know if I want to say that the story is amazing, because I don't feel like that word really explains it. I don't know if the word is incredible or if the word is awesome. In fact, I know that that's not the right word. I don't know if the word is tragic, because that doesn't actually do it justice either. I didn't know exactly what I felt about this, and so I was watching this, I was watching it with my wife, and I said, you know, this story is, it just churns all kinds of emotions in me. And they had this kind of interview with this kid, and then they said that they were in a few weeks going to be doing an ESPN special on him, and they called the special Miraculous. So that had been kicking on in my head, and then I had a conversation with Pastor Lance, the pastor over at St. Paul's Convoy, and he told me something that kind of blew my mind. He said, do you know the Austin Hatch story? And of course I knew the Austin Hatch story because I had just seen this thing on College Game Day. He said, well, Austin's my cousin. And I thought, that's unbelievable. So we got to talking a little bit more. And what I found is that there's a story, a very, very powerful story, behind the story. And we're going to talk a little bit about that this morning. But before we do that, we want to show you kind of a video clip of the Austin Hatch story that they call Miraculous. It's about half of it. The whole thing, if you watch it, is 30 minutes long. But we're going to watch a 15-minute segment of it, and then we're going to talk a little bit about it. So, just watch here. We're going to turn the lights down so you'll be able to see really clearly.
It's unbelievable to be here after all that I've been through, to be able to finally make it to Michigan, put on that jersey. Really is a dream come true.
For 20-year-old Austin Hatch, Chrysler Center at the University of Michigan has been a yearned-for destination. Not a finish line, a kind of promised land, reached only after a journey of biblical proportions.
Millimeters away from death, if you look at life through different lens.
He is a walking miracle.
Let's just say this situation didn't look good. Well, here we are. Hatch, on the right side. Gave up the drill, had it knocked loose and a foul call, but it will be a long time. This is a chance to get my big throw out.
Bends the knees on its way to shooting.
Let's see what happens if you lost the match.
What he's gone through so far is miraculous. He said to me, Coach, the way I look at it, I've been so blessed through life. I've only had 2 really bad days in my life.
Around 6 p.m. on September 1st, 2003, 8-year-old Austin boarded a Beechcraft 6-seater for a flight from the family cabin in Michigan to their home in Fort Wayne, Indiana. On board were Austin's mother, Julie, his 5-year-old brother, Ian, and 11-year-old sister, Lindsay. At the controls, his father, Dr. Stephen Hatch.
I was sitting shotgun with my father when some equipment failure took place. It just seemed to me that some of the lights and some of the screens went out.
At his father's instruction, Austin says, he checked the instrument panel with a flashlight. The engine was no longer working. The plane struck a utility pole and crashed just after 8 p.m. in Uniondale, Indiana. Fire swept through the passenger compartment. Dr. Hatch would suffer severe burns.
He threw Austin out of the plane and he tried to get the others out, and that is where the burns came from. So,
He saved Austin's life.
he did. What happened after that?
I don't want to get into that.
Austin's mother, his sister, and his brother would not survive.
My father and I often go to the graveside. He would just hug me and tell me how much he loved me and how thankful he was to still have me. And I would say the exact same thing. I mean, he told me, Austin, we're just going to press on. And that's what we're called to do.
The National Transportation Safety Board would attribute the accident to pilot error. Dr. Hatch would dispute that finding. He returned to work and to flying planes, as he had since 1997. Now, there was just Austin and his father, and the game they both loved.
The best therapy we had was just being together. We spent long hours in the driveway. He would always make time to play me in one-on-one. And let me tell you, nothing felt better. The trash talk that would go back and forth between us, and it was ridiculous.
Soon, there would be a new source of love and support. In 2004, Dr. Hatch met Kimberly Neal, single mother of 3, Brittany, Maria, and an Austin of her own. A romance blossomed.
I just remember seeing this picture she would put by her bedside and just kept asking her who these guys were. She said, "You'll know soon, you'll know soon."
In May 2005, Austin was in the wedding party as Stephen and Kim were married.
A mother-son bond is important, and I had lost that for some time. And she came into my life and reestablished that. She actually adopted me, and I call her mom.
Within this blended family, his new older sisters brought Austin into their hearts.
We got to spend some time together, and he shared with me about his life prior to us, and ever since then, very close.
He was like so sweet to want to even be my brother. The fact that his heart was big enough to accept us said a lot about him.
By early 2011, Austin was a 6'6" standout sophomore at Canterbury High, already thinking about playing at the next level. One university stood out in his mind, the one his father cheered for, the one his late mother Julie had graduated from.
From an early age, I was taught to bleed maize and blue. The Michigan bond my mom and I shared, as well as the bond that, between me and my other family members, was strong.
One night in February of 2011, Coach Beeline looked on as Austin went for 30 points and 16 rebounds.
I knew I was going to offer him a scholarship the moment I walked out of that gym.
He called me at about 1:45 in the afternoon on June 15th, and I said, I'd love to have you.
He says, can I accept right now? And I said, are you sure? You want to sleep on this? No, I want to go to Michigan. I just knew this was a dream for him to play here.
There was a party at a local restaurant that night to celebrate.
The Beeline offense is, it kind of values the big shooter kind of guy, and I think I could fill in that offense pretty well for him. I got a decent shooter, and I got some size, so that'll help.
We were all celebrating and being so loud that Dad bought everybody's dessert as an apology. There was a part where it was almost like he was a little kid, excited about it.
proudest moments of his life for me. He knew what it took to get there and how much work and how much time I had to put in to make that dream a reality.
Days later, on June 24th, 2011, Dr. Hatch decided to fly with his wife Kim and Austin to their Michigan cabin. The plane left Fort Wayne at 5:30 p.m. Bad weather forced Dr. Hatch to divert to an airport in Charlevoix, Michigan. At 7:20, he was cleared to land.
Yeah, we just had an aircraft crash just north of the airfield. It should be on the street just north of the airfield. It's just to the left of, oh, yeah.
They wasn't coming into the airport?
He was trying to come in, but he was coming in the wrong way.
Breaking news out of Charlevoix County. You're looking at the aftermath of a plane crash. 2 people inside killed on impact. Another passenger in the back of the plane suffered serious injuries. We're not sure on the condition of that person.
I started walking and pacing the room, screaming, "There's no way this happened again, there's no way this happened again." I just remember feeling, how is my whole family gone?
All the time that we put into making our new family, how much I loved my dad. I knew I was never going to get it back. Anything but my sweet, sweet parents were gone. And my next step was to get to Austin. I knew I had to get to Austin.
Well, we heard he was in a coma, that he was severely injured to his brain, and that he might never wake up, and that even if he did, that he might never walk again or might never talk again.
The plane crash that killed Austin Hatch's parents had broken both of Austin's collarbones. He had rib fractures, holes in his lung, fractures of his sternum and his left hip, and a massive brain injury.
I got there and immediately walked in and lost it. Fell to the floor, was screaming.
It was just too hard to see him unconscious, and wires left and right, everywhere from toe to head. Just not even knowing if he was going to come out alive.
For 6 weeks, Austin lay in a medically induced coma. By July, his condition had stabilized, but he remained largely unresponsive.
He was in a wheelchair and he couldn't stand, and his head was supported and couldn't control movements. I couldn't believe that he survived for this. You've got to be kidding me.
When he was able to ask about his parents, Austin would receive the worst news imaginable.
What was it like to realize that you lost your dad and your mom? Yeah, it's hard to put that into words. Losing a father who is not only your dad, but is also your best friend. And then going through a loss a second time, I kind of thought to myself, I thought I already had my loss.
Forgive me for asking this. Were you angry at your father?
Never, ever. He was, as far as I'm concerned, Steve Hatch, my father, was a man of the millennium.
Steve Hatch's dream had been to see his son at Michigan on the team. It was Austin's goal, too.
I had basketball in my future, and I realized how much work it was going to take for me to get there.
Within the first few weeks, he just kept improving.
Oh, that's good.
He said to me, I'm going to play basketball again. End of story.
The last time that I saw him, you're watching a guy running and dunking, and now you're watching a young man that has trouble